Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over just Sylvanas mainly for normal so we can quickly get through it, get our shards, and move on to Mythic. So the boss will generally be in the middle for the most part. The first ability she does, Windrunner, is just going to put a bunch of swirlies on the ground, and so you have to move out of it. It's going to apply a dot to people called Barbed Arrow, which we'll deal with when we have the chains come out. And other than that, she doesn't really do much. She does do a dot to people that the healers just have to watch. That we don't want to be stacked up. We want to loose spread around her. That way, not everyone. It's kind of like the cone on the second boss of Castle Nathria, Huntsman, where you kind of want to be spread around so not every single person gets hit by it. The biggest thing, next thing is domination chains. So if you have a stack of barbed arrow, which she will randomly hit people with them, what you want to do is you want to be near a chain. So let's say that this is a chain right here, and if I was a so I'm a druid. So if I had 5 stacks of barbed arrow, I would when the chain puddle comes down, there are different color puddles. They're like a light purple, then there's like a dark purple, and then you'll see the chain actually spawn out of the ground from one of the swirlies. Obviously, don't stand in the swirlies. And once it spawns, I want to be as close to it, so before anyone else, so it picks me. Because what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of my barbed arrow stacks. So as soon as it picks me, obviously you want to run away from it, and everyone else wants to damage it, and you can damage it yourself. You just never want to get pulled into it, because if you get pulled into it, you will do a bunch of damage and to yourself, to the people around you. It's just not good. So you just need to run away. But again, if you have high stacks of barbed arrow, which I will try to be calling people that have that, you want to make sure you're near a chain when it spawns. Don't be right on top of it. Just be the closest one to it. It'll pick you, and then you will lose your stacks. For Veil, which is all she does is she's gonna cast a big circle around herself that everyone has to run out of. We'll just use movement increase. So just don't stand in it. It's a giant big black swirly thing. You just need to run out. Wailing Arrow is for the tanks. That's just going to be where we're probably going to assign some healing cooldowns. Tanks, you just need to make sure that when you get Wailing Arrow, you run it as far out as possibly can, and then run back in. We can use Gateway for that if we need to. And then during the intermission, all you have to do, we'll have a big group of domination chains. She'll take no damage during that phase, and it's pretty much just kill every chain that we possibly can. Do not get hit by it. Just make sure we're nuking it down. There's nothing else to do. Again, boss can't take any damage to it, so it's all kill chains, kill chains. And then she'll also do a thing called Rive, where she'll pretty much, it's kind of like blades on Sire Denathrius. She'll do a giant thing all the way across the room like this, and you don't want to get hit by it. There will also be swirlies coming out during this, so don't stand in swirlies, don't stand in blades. And then right before we phase, she's gonna do a thing called Banshee's Wail. We just want to make sure we're spread and we're not stacked on top of each other. You'll have a little circle around you, a personal circle. You just make sure you're not stacked on each other, because it'll just be unnecessary damage. And if enough people stack on each other, they'll die before we go into the next phase. So next phase, we'll be hopping between bridges and going between them. If you watch like the Race to World first, you'll saw that like there's ads on every single bridge. In normal and heroic, there's only ads on certain bridges. And the first couple are you just literally run across them. During that time, what she's going to be doing is she's going to be doing a thing called Haunting Wave, which just sends out these black waves all around her that push you back, and they also make you take a dot. But you want to make sure that you are dodging these waves because you don't want to get knocked off. There's nothing really going out during the first couple of bridges, so pay attention to it. Take it nice and slow. She'll also eventually be casting Ruin at points in the fight. We just want to make sure that we kill the ads fast enough that we can make it to Ruin to interrupt her. And she'll also be vulnerable for portions of the fight, which we want to maximize damage as we can. When we're actually on a platform, because we don't separate in normal and heroic, we go together. What we want to do is we generally want to be in this style, because we're going to have Veil. We're also going to have Banshee's Wail. Banshee's Wail is a personal circle that she has, that everyone has around them that you need to spread for. but it usually comes after a veil or before a veil. So if it comes before, we'll pre-spread, but most of the time it comes after a veil. So what we do is we all stack up in this form, and what happens is as soon as the veil comes out, since we're all nicely stacked, everyone will run back because the veil should spawn on the mass amount of people. The tanks could run this way, and then they would run right back. And then what would happen is melee would run back in, and range and healers would stay out and spread out. Because the next thing that's going to happen is the Banshee's Wail, which is a personal soak around everyone. And we want to make sure we give room for melee too, because some melee are going to have to get off boss and spread out here so they don't cleave onto each other. So that's generally what it looks like. Each platform will have different sets of ads and bosses. You just want to make sure you're targeting the deadliest one, which I will be calling out and going over. So some of them, there's Vanguard, which he just does a big hit. Nothing too important, but the ads have the highest health. We always want to cleave off of them. So the Hope Breaker, it reduces your movement speed. So again, you just want to make sure we're targeting it, cleaving everything down. The Soul Dredge, that's when we really want to like focus and burn down as quickly as we can. Also, the Summoner is going to spawn orbs. We want to kill the Summoner quickly, but as soon as orbs come out, everyone swaps to them and kills them as quickly as possible. If they're close to melee, you swap. If they're close to range, you swap and kill. The faster we kill them, the less damage we're going to take, and we're not going to wipe. And then Goliath, we also want to make sure we're burning down quickly so the tanks don't take a bunch of damage. The deadliest ones are usually the Soul Judge and the Summoner because of the orbs. So those are the big ones to kind of look out for. But any big ad, the main ad, we always want to target and cleave off of. Other than that, this fight is just take it nice and easy. This part's all control. We'll have the damage. We just want to make sure we're not dying to silly stuff. And then we'll get into the last phase. This last phase, what we're going to do is we're going to spread out. There's no reason to stack on normal because she doesn't do one of her abilities on normal. So we're going to spread out the entire time. You want to make sure we're giving room for melee because she'll also do the Banshee Scream. And so which is the same thing where you have a personal circle. So if we're already pre-spread, it doesn't matter. Veil in this phase is targeted on specific people. So again, if we're already pre-spread, there's no reason to move and run away, and we're not going to have people getting hit by double. So find a spot in the room that you're not near someone else, spread, give room, make sure you're utilizing the platform. We want to make sure we're watching out for swirlies on the ground that leave puddles. The tanks will be picking up the puddles, and they'll be dropping them in specific corners. So he'll be dropping them here or over here in the spot where there's not a lot of people. Obviously, we'll find room. Again, range you can stack like this too and give space. Obviously, make sure we have space and tank can drop puddles here. So we want to make sure the tanks will be on that. Other than that, there's going to be wailing arrows coming out during that phase. I don't know if there's 3 on normal. There may be just only 2 or 1. I'm not sure. But let's say this DPS gets it. What they're going to do is there's these glowy portions around the platform. You're always going to take it to the platform we're going to. So when you get wailing arrow, when you have like 1 to 2 seconds left, you hop over. The arrow goes off, it does the drop-off damage, and then you'll jump back. And that's all you do for Wailing Arrow. I don't know how many people get affected by it, but let's say these 2 people have it. How it would work is he gets it first, and this person gets it second. What you do, this person has 1 second left, he jumps over, and then it goes off, and as soon as it goes off, then this person jumps over. While he's jumping over, this person should be jumping back. Then he jumps over to the next platform, it blows up, he jumps back. And just rinse and repeat. We could have the entire raid could have wailing arrows, and as long as we do it in the correct order and make sure you're not don't go over as soon as you get it because you're going to be losing boss damage. And if you're in the wrong order, then you're just going to be getting hit by theirs and you're going to die. So again, this person would go first, jump over, it would go off. As soon as it goes off, this person would be jumping over, this person would be coming back. It goes off, this person comes back. We just rinse and repeat that, and then eventually she'll do an ability called Raise, which pretty much means that she's going to just put tons and tons of black goo all over this platform. The entire raid is going to group up on the side that we're going to go to at this point and get ready. You're going to still be doing boss damage because you can leave pretty late. She's casting Raise. Raise is about to go off in 3, 2, 1. Then we all leave and go to the next platform, which let's say it's this one. We'd land here, and then everyone would immediately spread back out, so there are spots that they were before. to make sure that we're giving room because we want to make sure we're spread for Veils and the Banshee Scream. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Tanks just need to make sure we're managing platforms, and healers make sure you're listening to tanks when they need to be dispelled. Tanks be vocal when you need to be dispelled when you're in an actual good location. Make sure we're not getting hit by swirlies. Make sure if this person accidentally picks up a puddle, make sure you drop it right next to other puddles. That way you're not lessening the space as well. We want to make sure that it's happening. So just call for a dispel when you're in a good location. Other than that, as long as we'll have the damage. We just need to make sure that we're very consistent and control the whole phases. You don't need to maximize damage. We don't need to just play it safe. If you have to get off boss for a second to do Wailing Arrow, that's fine. All that kind of stuff. We'll kill this boss. We'll get our shards, and then we can go into Mythic.